6:35, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. How are you? Wilson County School Board is going to be voting, I guess it's tonight, on the ability for teachers and staff and so forth to be able to get trans surgery and procedures. Now, the school and the school board is getting attacked on the socials, as you can imagine, because it's being presented in a certain way. I want to go through this because this isn't necessarily about Wilson County. This is happening all over Tennessee and all across the country. In Wilson County, the school board is going to be voting on whether or not they should add transgender surgery to their teacher and staff health insurance. And again, I believe that happens tonight. Now, they have Meritain Health, and it's the health insurance, actually, that is strongly recommending removal of the gender reassignment sex transformation plan exclusion. So right now in Wilson County, they have in their health insurance an exclusion for gender reassignment and sex transformation surgeries and procedures. In other words, it is not allowed currently under the plan. But for whatever reason, Meritain Health, the health insurance, they are asking the Wilson County School Board to remove that exclusion so people within the district and working for the school district and so forth can get trans surgeries and procedures. Meritain Health tells the board, and this is all over Facebook, and this is why I was interested in covering this, because again, this is happening everywhere. Meritain Health tells the board that excluding coverage for this mental health condition creates mental health party risk and indicates there would be discriminatory concerns if they continue to have that exclusion. Now, they go on and they list the reasons why they feel that it should be included in the insurance, and it does direct the district to tell them in writing why they feel like it should still be excluded, the trans surgeries and procedures and so forth. Gender affirming care is what they call it. And it feels like people are starting to lawyer up. Do you know what I mean? Because they say that gender dysphoria, this is the insurance company talking. They say that gender dysphoria is a mental health condition defined in the current version of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. Because of that, it needs to be covered, they say. The very left-leaning American Psychiatric Association writes it. So realize what's going on. You've got the American Psychiatric Association, right? And they are incredibly left-leaning. So they decide that wanting these, trans surgeries and procedures and gender-affirming care, they say that this is a mental health condition. And so they went ahead and defined that in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, which is what all the health insurance companies go for. In other words, the American Psychiatric Association wanted to make it easier for insurance companies to pay for these procedures. But again, there's a lot of criticism of this manual because they tend to overlabel simple human conditions as disorders, which means that big pharma can then start churning out medications and prescriptions and make a whole boatload of money. You see how this whole thing is going? And so for the American Psychiatric Association, all these left-leaning folks, they're trying to get all of these insurance companies and all of these folks that carry that insurance to allow the gender-bending procedures and surgeries. And people are attacking on the socials. People were attacking the Wilson County School Board, and they're the ones that had the exclusion. Now, I don't know what they're ultimately going to do, but when you think about the fact that there's a whole bunch of insurance companies that want these procedures to be covered. But when you think of all the stuff that isn't covered, it's actually rather infuriating. So a lot of plastic surgery not covered by the health insurance. Vision correction, and I just went through this. A lot of vision correction is not covered by the health insurance companies. Dental implants, not covered. And here's the thing. A lot of these things, the insurance companies talk about how this is cosmetic in nature. So we're not going to pay for your dental implants because they feel like it's cosmetic in nature. Meantime, you can barely chew. You can't see worth a crap and you clearly need vision correction, but they're not going to cover it because they say that it is something that is voluntary, that there's other ways to correct your vision like glasses and so forth. I mean, it is so ridiculous. Weight loss, surgeries, and medications. How many times have people spoken about, I never have, but you got these weight loss surgeries and medications for people that are really, really overweight. And the health insurance companies, they won't cover it. Why won't they cover it? Because they say that, it's vanity and it's cosmetic in nature, which makes absolutely no sense. Because if you're super big, think about all of the medical problems that come with being obese and overweight. But they decide, oh, no, we're not going to cover that. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. But we'll go ahead and cover gender-affirming surgeries. Do you see how that makes no sense? Fertility treatments, also not covered. Some cancer therapies are not covered. But gender-affirming surgeries, absolutely. Let's go ahead and cover those folks. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. A lot of these are not covered because, again, the insurance companies deem them as cosmetic or experimental or medically unnecessary, or it's, vain. People, they'll say, well, we're not going to cover, weight loss surgeries and the weight loss medications. You know why? Because it's all about vanity. You could just lose weight in other ways. And so then they've got to go and they've got to pay for the insurance companies and the people that are on that insurance. They've got to deal with diabetes. They've got to deal with, all that goes into being obese. But trans surgeries and procedures and gender affirming care, absolutely. They feel like those should be covered. It doesn't make any sense. And so now the Wilson County School Board, it seems like, and again, this isn't about Wilson County. It's not about the Wilson County School Board. It happens to be in the news today. But they're under a lot of pressure by the insurance company to cover this. And so the worry is that, I believe, is that lawsuits are going to start flying. So the vote is tonight. They might be worried again about being sued if it's not covered, especially since the American Psychiatric Association says these trans surgeries and procedures are medically necessary. By the way, Tennessee has a law they passed in 2023 that prohibits or does not allow state funds to cover gender-affirming care for public employees, but federal law can supersede state restrictions. So that's going to be interesting. And by the way, in case you're curious, I don't think that Metro Nashville also does not cover these kinds of things, which may surprise you. But Metro Nashville doesn't cover them either. So this is something that there's a lot of pressure on these school boards, and we'll have to see how the school board decides to vote tonight. But, for me, I don't believe that they should have to pay for or take out the exclusion for a gender-affirming care. I don't believe that they should, and they shouldn't be forced or manipulated or pressured by the insurance companies to allow for that exclusion to be taken away. I just don't, especially when you look at all of the other things that are not covered by these health insurance companies. To me, it is just ridiculous. It is 6:45, coming up on 6:45 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads on Super Talk. 45, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather goes, a high of 65 today, lingering showers as well. And really appreciate you listening for a Monday, Cinco de Mayo, as a matter of fact. And, of course, my joke this morning is that ICE decided to celebrate Cinco de Mayo with an ICE bust in Nashville, a big weekend for Nashville as ICE. The Tennessee Highway Patrol and Homeland Security were here Saturday night into Sunday morning arresting illegal aliens. Channel 4, of course, airs videos of a bunch of guys in handcuffs.
These videos were taken overnight in various locations across the metro Nashville area, including Antioch, South Nashville, and Paragon Mills, all showing traffic stops initiated by Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers. THP leaders say they made 150 of these stops alongside Homeland Security and ICE agents in areas with suspected gang activity and with a history of serious traffic crashes.
So some of the arrests that were made, according to the Tennessee Highway Patrol, were for outstanding warrants, illegal guns, drugs, and they say that there were some suspected gang members here as well. And again, these are places where gang activity has been happening and illegal aliens have now been picked up. And that's a good thing, right? Well, apparently not.
As people protested and confronted Homeland Security agents for answers, 3 buses came and went.
Shame.
With loved ones chasing behind, trying to stop it, saying they saw their family members on the bus with no destination made clear. THP leaders say in situations where drivers had no ID or valid driver's license, federal agents stepped in, handling, quote, immigration-related matters.
So, of course, you've got State House Representative Afton Benn, a Democrat. She says, and this is a quote on the socials, "What I've heard anecdotally is deeply disturbing. A coordinated and alarming immigration enforcement operation unfolded in the heart of Nashville's immigrant and refugee communities." Okay, so hello, Afton Benn. If you've got illegal guns, illegal drugs, and gang members, and they have infested Nashville's immigrant and refugee communities, isn't it a smart thing to get these guys off the streets and out of our city? It would seem like it to me. She also said dragnet operations like this do nothing to improve public safety. What they do is they terrorize families, they disrupt lives, and they shatter trust between law enforcement and the communities that they are supposed to serve. Well, Afton Benn, Democrat, if they're getting gang members off the streets, then yeah, I'd be willing to bet, because, I mean, look, I don't live in these communities, but here's what common sense tells me. Common sense tells me that if in these communities you have gang members that are running around with stolen guns and drugs, then by and large, the communities, no matter where they're from, wants these guys gone, right? Because they don't want these guys who are here from God knows where to try and recruit their kids into gangs. They don't want them to sell their kids drugs, and they don't want their community to be shot with these illegal guns. So as usual, the Democrats are taking the wrong side. Law enforcement, I would say, they're supposed to serve the citizens that pay their salary. And the citizens of Tennessee voted for strict enforcement of immigration laws. So there's that, Afton Benn.
Mayor O'Connell's office also said while allegations of Metro Police involvement were made, they say no Metro officers were a part of the enforcement and that their presence Sunday outside Homeland Security was to ensure public safety during the protest.
All right. So the mayor is also saying our top priority is keeping people safe. And we're deeply concerned that what appears to be federal actions are making that harder. Do they hear themselves? Like, does Mayor O'Connell hear himself when he says that these federal actions are making it harder to keep people safe? I mean, if they're taking, I mean, how many times can I say the same thing? And Joan's been reporting this story all morning long as well. I mean, if they're getting bad guys off the street, then does that make it easier to keep people safe, not harder, Mayor O'Connell? He wanted to make sure that you knew, Nashville, that no Metro Nashville Police Department personnel were involved in last night's enforcement action. Metro Nashville PD has no federal immigration authority. It is not trained to conduct immigration enforcement and lacks access to federal immigration databases. The THP, by the way, did release this statement. The Tennessee Highway Patrol partnered with federal authorities for a public safety operation in Davidson County in areas with a history of serious traffic crashes and suspected gang activity. Now, part of this, I would say part of this dynamic when I read this story, and especially how the THP was helping, is okay, because they certainly did not help in the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia when they just let him go. Remember that story, of course, from the last couple of weeks? When we find out that the Tennessee Highway Patrol called the Biden administration, hey, I've got a guy that has, 8 people all speaking other languages, and they've got no luggage and nobody speaks English, and we would have taken him in. Oh, no, let him go. And they let him go at the Tennessee Highway Patrol. And so I like the fact that now they are cooperating and working with ICE in making this happen. Troopers, they say, made a few arrests for outstanding warrants. Illegal guns and drugs were also recovered, including from individuals suspected of gang affiliation. I mean, look, make no mistake, Tennessee has taken legislative action to ensure that we are following strict enforcement, particularly after Donald Trump was elected into office. Now, some of the things, and I'm running out of time, but I interviewed the governor about all of this. We now have a centralized immigration enforcement division that works directly with Homeland Security. Good on you, governor and state legislators. We have criminalized sanctuary policies. So if we have, Nashville or Shelby County or some county that actually has certain sanctuary city policies that goes against our state policies, they have now made that a crime. The state legislature and the governor have now made that a crime. And there are now incentives for local law enforcement to work with federal authorities through grants. I think all of this is good. And so for me, I love what is happening here on this Cinco de Mayo with these ICE raids. I just thought it was ironic that it happened heading into this Monday, Cinco de Mayo. It is 6:52 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. Joan Jones has the news coming up at 7. Joan.
Did you know that if you've got federal student loans, you got to start paying them back today? We've got details on that coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.